What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Jacked Ramsays postgame show. I'm your host, Danny Marang, joined as always by Brandon Sprague. The Blazers get the Laker pack out, and absolutely, they smoke it up, Sprague. They smoke it up. I don't know if you would call this the dankest of Laker pack because it looked like some stank weed. That was the dirt weed Laker pack. If I think
that's where we're going with the show tonight. We're just going to weed references.
I mean, I leaned into it a little bit. I might as well just keep going. But in all seriousness, that Laker team looked
trash,
awful on every level.
Shit.
Like,
yeah.
What is it that they're supposed to do? Like, what? This is very strong. Like, what is your purpose? Vibes,
right?
Like, I'm just like, are you supposed to be like a physical team? Are you supposed to be a vertical spacing team? Are you supposed to like spread the floor and get downhill? Like, granted, massive grains of salt in the sense of no LeBron James, no Anthony Davis, but my God, Russell Westbrook is he's degrading more than I ever thought he was going to. Like, and I've seen him fall off a cliff really since his MVP season. It's bad. Like, it's genuinely bad. So
I thought he was okay. Even like, look, the level varies here by what I'm
of what's acceptable.
Even in the Rockets, a few moments, I would say last
late
year.
Season with the Rockets, he was okay. He kind of figured it out with the Wizards, but like,
I know what you mean. Your overall point is, I get it. I'm wondering if this is the worst game I've ever seen him play, and I think it might be. I know he's had some bad, stinking games, but it's I said this to one of our listeners, Jeff, on Twitter. Like, I'm kind of sad about it, and I know that's controversial because he's polarizing in Portland because of the Dame stuff. But
yeah,
I will always appreciate a player for all the listeners that don't like Russ, and I get it, I do. Let me try to sway you with this. If you are a big Jordan fan, right? Some people love the Kobe stuff too. That's why I love Russ. Russ every single night brings the energy. He brings his best. Now that doesn't always mean your team's going to be successful, but I can appreciate that because this was a league for a long time that was going through. Its stars are going to sit on prime time, and it's like that's stupid. Why would you do that to your league? Russ laces him up every single chance he gets, and I love that about him. And he's good. Like, I think we crap on him too much, but
do we?
I do think we have in his career, but now
kind of earning it, right?
He's aging like Iverson,
yeah,
and that did not age well.
Yeah,
so it's unfortunate.
When you rely on explosive athleticism and drive, both those things degrade faster than anything else. Carmelo Anthony has kind of figured it out in a sense of
he's a better shooter. He's always been a better shooter than Russ.
Yeah, but even he was a volume guy. He was not a great 3-point shooter throughout his career.
No, not a 3-point shooter. No.
But he's changed that. He's kind of figured it out, and I don't think Russ is ever going to. I think his ego and his drive are so interconnected that he's not going to go Derrick Rose. Like Derrick Rose, like he was forcibly changed. Rudy Gay was forcibly changed. Carmelo Anthony was just father time.
But see, that's the thing about Russ that I've always kind of thought. We see some videos from time to time about his summer workouts. Like we saw this year, he was like yelling at a guy, like, set a real screen, man. Yeah. Like I kind of like that, but you don't see the videos of him shooting. And he doesn't strike me as a guy who doesn't work on shooting. I think he does.
He's tried to tweak his jump shot. He works out the Black Ops guys. Like
so maybe he might be one of those guys that never has that ability. He just never is able to harness it. And that's unfortunate because to age well in this league, you have to be able to shoot, especially when you lose that.
Got to at least have that elbow jumper.
Athleticism.
The Chris Paul elbow jumper has to be there. That's like
he airballed an elbow jumper
twice. Yeah, I think it was either Dame or CJ hit the hezzy pull up, and then he came back and was like, "Oh, I can do that too." Yeah. And then he left it 3 feet short, and I was like, "Whoop, can you?" He tried to follow up the Dame. Oh yeah, he tried to follow up the Dame 3, and then he airballed the 3. I think he had 3 or 4 airballs tonight. Yeah. We've now spent 5 minutes talking about how awful the Lakers look, and that's with due cause because they look like the worst team I have seen this year. Like it's so weird because it's.
I've watched
LeBron
the Pistons games. I don't know.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be hot garbage.
Oh, I know, but
like
You said the worst team, and I was trying to think. Is there anybody
Yeah,
else I've
but
seen
I guess
worse?
it's probably a sliding scale because
Yeah.
like you're supposed to be up here and you're digging deep. But as far as it's one of those games where Cody Franklin, perfect. We need to remain grounded. Danny will tell us not to be hyped over beating a LeBron Davis-less Lakers, and he's probably right. I was literally just getting ready to go into that. Perfect. Yes. The Blazers did not play great basketball tonight. They came out with good energy. I liked that.
That was my like it.
Yeah, that was like, all right, cool. That was, and again, we have talked about this. Good energy and timely shot making can cover up for a lot of sins, and we saw that tonight. The offense tonight, you can say, devolved into matchup hunting, pick and roll, and there was a prime benefactor of that tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Yusuf Nurkic caught the ball in space with all kinds of time to do things.
Yeah.
I believe he finished 6 of 6. What was the final box score?
He had 16 rebounds, or did he get more than that?
He had 17. His
17,
final
okay.
box score line is probably even a little bit more gracious than his game was tonight. 15, 17, 1. 3 steals, 1 block, 2 turnovers, 1 foul. Clean game, plus 22, kind of passes the eye test. It didn't feel like he was that dominant. I think there's a big portion of, oh, man, what did the Lakers end up shooting? Because it was abysmal. It was 27% at one time. They got it back up in the fourth quarter to 38%. So,
I mean, they finished the game 34%, 28% from 3. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, the Blazers finished 38%. Yeah, so the Blazers shot 38% from the field, 27% from 3, and they won by 15.
And by the way, that they could have very well won by 30.
But that fourth quarter was just...
Had they played well, yeah.
Ugh. It was a disaster piece. But let's talk about Nurk here real quick. What did you like from Nurk tonight?
So I like that Nurk won. You know, I assumed AD wasn't going to play. The fact that he did start, I was like, oh, okay.
Maybe he's
let's
okay.
See.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, remember the Chris Bosh game when LeBron and D Wade sat out? Like, I thought, hey, maybe this could be a night where AD goes off. I mean, he played 7 minutes. And
Turns out he had too much screen door chicken.
Yeah, he might have, whatever it was, or he watched his teammates and got sick. Like, whatever that was.
I don't want to be here.
I'm done. I'm packing this in. There was a tweet that was really funny. I forgot who tweeted it, so apologies here, but it was right as the game started. Basically said Anthony Davis made a note that people knocked him for missing time and that if he was even 50-50, he was going to play.
Probably one of the LA guys like McMenamin or something.
It was it made McMenamin, maybe Orem, like somebody had, because it was a quote from AD. And the dude played 7 minutes and said, nah, screw this game. I'm not playing.
Got to case the bubble guts and shut it down.
Or the bubble guts, whatever you want to label it. I was expecting Nurk to have a good game because I didn't think AD prior to the game was going to play. Mm-hmm. And to see him go out there, I mean, look, this is my takeaway. Did he play a perfect basketball game? No, but he feasted on the opportunities that presented themselves.
That's the key.
That is the key for him, Danny, is what? It's confidence, right? It's building.
There was a little bit of Nurk swag tonight for the first time all season.
There was. And so even if you don't think that was impressive because of the lack of big depth that they have in LA,
it still matters.
It still matters to me that he was able to go out there and put that stat line together and play the way he did.
Yeah, he is a confidence player. I think he is the biggest confidence player on this roster. Actually, it may be Ant. Ant might be the biggest confidence player on this roster now when he's playing with it.
I think it's Yusuf.
You think so? Just because he can't play without it?
Because I think Ant has had like some game. He's had 1 or 2 games where he hasn't shot the ball.
This is the second game tonight, but he's found another ways to get involved.
Right, and he still had some moments offensively. I think he is okay. He will always be locked in. Nurk, I think we have seen the pattern with him is it's confidence up, confidence down.
Yep.
And so I think it's more important for him.
Yeah, I thought Nurk was great in one facet tonight. Control. If you want to highlight Mr. Richmond, Mike Richmond, since everybody's shouting out podcasts tonight, Richmond has stated numerous times that it'd be nice to see Nurk to do like a high school jump stop when he catches, just to like slow the bleep down.
Yeah, I like that.
And tonight he kind of did. Did you notice he gathered himself and went straight up? There wasn't the floating, fading, leaning.
He wasn't in a hurry.
No.
He controlled himself. Yeah.
He had one catch on the move, and that's the other big thing. He's not great catching on the move. He's just which is weird because he's got good hands, but it's just sometimes it's like it's covered in bacon grease. But when he's able to load off both feet, he's much more control. When he's trying to like slide by you and do the Jokic Euro step at 7 foot tall, it's not his game.
That's not him.
No, he's a big dude with tree trunk legs who does have, ballerina feet. He's got incredible foot control with his, post spin, but the connection between the foot and the hands, it's not there like Jokic. It's just not, and that's okay.
Right. But
he went up under control, maybe not as aggressive as I wanted, but better than leaning back, better than the little push shots. He left a couple right on the front of the rim. It went, and they just fell in.
Like,
yep.
Okay. All right.
But if he's going forward, I've maintained this the entire time he has been in Portland. If he is attacking and going forward, more good things will happen. And when he catches, stops, and goes forward, it's like, oh, cool. In the past, Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan have absolutely smacked him around. They are both entirely washed.
Oh, DeAndre Jordan even more so than Dwight. Like watching him jump for rebounds,
it was painful.
Like, I know he wasn't great last year either for Brooklyn, but to watch him this year, I'm like, oh my God, it looks like everybody absorbed your powers.
Oh yeah, no, he's not that guy.
No.
The other thing, it popped up in the box score tonight, but Nurk tweeted it out the other day when he was, I think he was like 6th or 7th in the league in deflections. The one thing about having him up above the free throw line, he does have good hands. He does when he's not, let me rephrase this. He has good hands when he's not out of breath because he will reach when he gets in trouble. And he got a couple steals tonight and being aggressive. Having Larry Nance Jr., having Yusuf Nurkic, having Robert Covington up in those passing lanes is good. The trade-off is, and you saw it tonight, on a night when a team is better than the Lakers presented in the front court, Nurk could have gotten in trouble because he was gassed. Did you see that from him tonight? Just,
yeah.
Like he was sucking wind a couple times tonight. And I was like, keep going. You gotta find a way to get through that. But
that's or that's who he is.
Yeah, he's a 7 foot 300-pound dude who can play 27 a night.
Yes, well, 27 might even be gracious.
I'm being nice, okay? Listen, he played well tonight, okay?
No, well, I think he's one of my 3 big things of the night, right? Like, Ant was 4 of 14, 0 of 6 from 3. We mentioned it. He still found ways to contribute. CJ, by the way, he's lucky this game was a blowout. He almost had a Dame-level game. He had 7 points. He was 1 of 10 from 3, and he was 3 of 15 from the field. I loved what Nurk did because it was an opportunity for him to have this game. Dame, I know he shot sub 50% and he was sub 50 or 6 of 14 from 3 tonight, but he had moments where it kind of felt like he looked like the Dame we had seen.
Yeah.
And I think that was big for him.
Pulling up from 35 with that FU 3, even though he missed it.
Right.
The confidence in his strength. That is the first time this season I was like, hey, there that is. I haven't seen it all year.
And then Rocco was my other big takeaway tonight. Now, like the box score might not pop off for people with 12 points, but 4 of 7 from 3 and 4 of 8 from the field. I'll take that all day. That is the
if he's giving you that, you take it and run every night.
That's the Rocco we need. Yes.
And that's 3 games in a row now.
Yep.
It's almost like he just started slow.
Like last year.
And it was, hey guys, I exist. Just let me touch the ball every now and then. That's all I want to do. Just a little, keep the hands warm. No big deal. CJ looked like he was going to be on a heater with some of the shots he hit, and then he missed everything else. It was a weird night. Dame had a couple bursts. Talking to a few people, they're like, how did that look for you? Like, do you still think he's hurt? Yes, I still think there's something there. But there was, for the first time, real signs of trusting the explosiveness. He didn't get the right to left split blow by. He didn't come off a screen and go, with his hair on fire and just get by guys. But he looked a little bit better. Almost like I don't know,
like they shot him up with Toradol.
That or a weight was lifted. I don't know.
I was gonna say, did he spray himself with biofreeze?
I was gonna almost like a weight was lifted off of his shoulders.
Hey, we talked about that a little in the pregame, and I know we talked mainly about the big story with Neil more so than previewing this game, but I think we noted both. The Lakers without LeBron and AD are absolute trash, and this game was going to be a Blazer blowout.
But they still came out and played.
But they did. They executed. They came out with the right intensity. I thought to start the game. Shout out our good friend Lamar, who noted that as well. Like,
yes,
they have to come out and they have to play with that aggression. When they don't, it goes to what you and I have been noticing, and I think a lot of people who watch these games, if that lineup doesn't come out with the right energy, they instantly have this weird vibe around them. Yeah. And it's like, oh, take these three dudes out and let's just run the bench unit with Dame. The last two games, they've responded to a 3-game losing streak by saying,
yes,
we'll see how this goes, but we're not going to not give a damn. And they've rolled it out, and they've played really tough to open the games.
So there's still, I don't want to downplay. 2 wins is 2 wins. You take wins in the NBA however you can get them. Anybody who watched me on Outsiders or Joe, I will tell you the same thing. If you are a competitive team that is trying for the playoffs and you think you're more than that, moral victories do not mean a damn. They do not mean anything. I do not care. However, you still need to get the wins. You got to win some ugly games each year because you're going to lose some ugly games each year.
Right.
I am still concerned with the process. The process tonight was not good for large stretches of the game.
They were lucky they played a wounded animal.
There's maybe 2 other teams in the league, 3, OKC, Houston, Detroit. Who
careful with OKC. They've gotten this same Laker team.
This is twice, true. So okay, so Detroit and Houston, because Orlando's finding ways to score. So as weird as that is.
By the way, Houston, could you imagine Jalen Green against this team? Like, I don't know.
It's a lot. Let's just say.
I know. To your point, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I started thinking about it. I'm like, God, how many teams are worse than this Laker team is playing right now, especially without Braun?
I think Detroit. That's it.
Yeah, it's. But I mean, had they been playing anybody else, they probably would have gotten smacked around. The process offensively, I thought when they looked good was on the pick and roll. I thought when they got away from that, their movement was not very good. I thought there was a lot of standing around. I think there was a sense of, this Laker team sucks and we can get through this. I don't like that from this team because they haven't earned that.
Now, it should be noted, like, to your point on the effort, you bring this on Tuesday against the Clippers in your season finale against them, by the way, they're gonna smoke you.
We've seen that show before. Even as much as that Clippers team is struggling, they present unique problems with all of their wings that Portland does not yet have answers for.
Right. And Portland's not a team, I think, to overlook very many teams in this league. Any night you can be right there. That being said, you mentioned like pick and roll and kind of standing around. I'm with you 100%. So don't lose me here.
Yeah, no, go.
I think part of this can happen to teams like Portland where they get into it and they instantly can tell, that they don't have it. That
they don't want to play.
They don't want to play. Like and I texted this to you early, and I know they kind of cut in the lead late, but I kind of just felt
you just text me it's over at like halftime.
I think it was the first quarter.
I think it might have been. It was
the Lakers didn't give a damn, and I'm sorry. You can see that sometimes on these teams.
It's 82 games.
Trips.
It's 82 games. It's 82 games, and even in the early season, that you can just get in a weird funk. We just watched a Blazers team get their ass kicked over 3 games. So sometimes you just get in a funk.
It's not great, I think, for the long-term process that you're citing. But I think this can happen from time to time. One team can identify the weaker opponent and say, we can do a lot of things tonight. We don't have to be perfect.
And it's better to get a win there than to get a loss there.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm not beating this one to death because following the press release last night, coming into this game, I think you got some things that you are positive things to build on. You got Yusuf Nurkic a little bit more involved. He has not looked great over the last couple games. I don't care what the box score says. When he's not involved, it's just not a good thing. Last 6 quarters, much better, much more involved, diving harder on the pick and roll actions, making himself more available, getting himself into the right spots, playing better off of Norman Powell. I've noticed that those two have kind of gotten in each other's way a little bit. After we had Caitlin on, I went back and watched the action she was talking about and just kind of watched that game progress. And I was like, yeah, those two are kind of getting over on each other. Because if you think about it, Dame is getting downhill, but not quite as often as he has before. And they're using that takeoff area really for Norman Powell to come off those screens and get downhill very often.
Right.
Who's often setting those screens? Yusuf Nurkic. If Yusuf Nurkic is setting that screen, what is he not doing? He's not involved entirely with the offense with the ball in his hands, which is trying to find that balancing point that Chauncey has to find between getting guys touches. Yeah. So, I mean, you look at it tonight, and it's not going to be as clear because of how the game went, but Powell 11 shots, Nurk 6 shots, Dame 19, CJ 15, and Cove 8. That's probably closer.
That's the shot distribution I was kind of thinking in my head.
You
right?
bump Nurk's up a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
6 is a little low.
Yeah.
10, 11, I think is probably. So I think that's the sweet spot.
That's pretty close to the sweet spot. I would say if he only gets 6, but he's 6'6", he's
listen.
Probably
If he's
that.
if he's effective, great. But this is a guy who historically he's just not been a great finisher.
I thought the other good thing about this game, aside from just getting a win and blowing out a team like the Lakers, who have higher expectations than Portland, and now you have the same record as them. The beauty of this game, Danny, to me is you got the win convincingly on a night where your bench shot 7 of 36. Like, you had a very bad bench night production-wise, but you easily won the game. And I think the good thing with that is we know how reliant they're going to be on Nance, Ant, Nas, Cody from time to time. Like, we know what those guys' value is on this team, and they largely didn't really have it tonight. And that's okay.
Ant and Nas are 7 of 21 combined.
They weren't good, but that was kind of one of my big takeaways too, is they convincingly won this game and their bench played like dog ass. I don't think their bench is going to have a ton of nights like this. So if you're going to have them, it's nice to waste them on nights like this.
This was their first combined bad effort, or bad scoring night, I should say.
Right.
I will say, and we'll kind of lead into here with Ant, the looks that he got are the looks that I'm comfortable with him taking over and over and over and over. He didn't hit his threes tonight, and I don't play this game of like if this then, but if he hits the threes that he normally gets, it's a monster night for him. So again, process. His results will be there if the process is good. The process side of that is this playmaking tonight. He was on one. A lot of one-handed off the bounce rip passes across. Getting it from side to side, those diagonals, those 45s, getting along, dragging down to the dunker spot. That and the hezzy where he turned Dwight Howard into a pretzel was just.
And he finished with the left on the right side
the
to get
quick
up
scoop.
and under.
Yep.
Yeah. And oh man, I loved that play.
Listen, he had a couple plays tonight. The putback where he missed the original first shot of the night for him. Yeah. He got back up and put it back in before anybody else hit the floor, and I was like, good God. He had his lowlights were just missing shots that I think he normally hits, but his highlights tonight were spectacular. Like I said, the hezzy, the quick jump finish, the playmaking, and my God, that pull up at the mid range. That's special type scoring because he made it look easy, man.
It's another game that we can point to where statistically you go, oh, he was awful, right? Like if you didn't watch this game and I showed you that box score,
0-6 from 3, you're like, ugh.
You'd shake your head and go, oh, you look like you just tasted a lemon. You wouldn't want nothing to do with it, and I get it. But if you watched the game, yeah, production-wise, he didn't give you the best shooting performance. But this is my big takeaway with him. He's had multiple games now like this where he hasn't had it, and that's okay. I know that we're going to have that. That's natural for a younger player.
Yeah.
He's not allowing those off nights to dictate how he contributes overall. And that's an important factor for me with young players is
that's good to great. That's what that is.
Yeah. Do you sulk into the missing and the, I don't have it tonight. Woe is me. Or do you keep shooting with confidence? You just don't have it, but yet you find ways to find guys, move the ball, get a hockey-like assist where it's like one pass to the next pass, boom, bucket.
Yeah.
And he brings that, and he also brings it on defense. He's not the greatest defender, but I at least know the effort is there, and he is going to have some really good nights on that end. So I know this podcast probably sounds like we kiss his ass a lot.
Oh, I do, because I genuinely believe he's that dude.
I think it's impossible to not watch what we've seen so far 10 games in and have this feeling. And that's what's great is I know he can be off, but we'll still get something from him. That's a really encouraging sign from a young player.
I mean, you look at his box score tonight. He's 0 of 6 from 3, 4 of 14 from the field. So you look at that and you go, oh, so he was 4 of 8 from 2?
Yep.
So that means he got 8 2-point shots. My first thought is, that's weird. It's almost like he's not settling for threes all the time. Means he's getting feet in the paint. Means he's getting to different spots.
Yep.
You look at his shot diet already this season. He's still shooting a truckload of threes, and he should never, ever, ever, ever stop, because he's one of the best catch and shoot and off the bounce 3-point shooters in the league right now. But at the same time, if he can, again, we always talk about this, get 2 feet in the paint, draw that second guy, and he can create off the bounce, this is what's going to be fun. The Clippers are now playing the Blazers for the 3rd time coming up on Tuesday. What does that scouting report look like for Anfernee Simons? What do they do? What do they throw at him? Do they throw anything different at him? Do all of a sudden we see a Nick Batum thrown on him after they've seen him twice and go, let's see how you do with a little bit more length on you. A little bit of a smarter, headier defender. See if we can limit your playmaking or limit your dribble penetration or your pull-up threes. Just kind of throw a different look at him, because when he's out there running that second unit, it's mostly him. Now, don't get me wrong, he's out there with Dame or CJ, who's going to get the attention. But Ant, as noted by the broadcast tonight, he's, 6th in scoring off the bench right now?
I think they said 6th, yeah.
So if I told you, remember what I said, Ant will be in the running if he's in that top 6, 7 and scoring off the bench, and he's there. Now, Tyler Hero is averaging 25 a game.
He's not going to pass Tyler Hero.
I think Tyler might have that. He's having a Ginobili type season right out of the gate. But I'm very confident in what I've seen from Anfernee Simons, and the only thing that I'm really wanting at this point in time is more. Give me more minutes. Find a way to get him. If it means you have to take Dame and CJ and rest them both at the same time and live with some consequences, then do it.
Yeah.
Ant should be closer to 30 minutes than he is to 20 minutes every night at this point. Are you at that? Have you reached that point?
Oh, I mean, I reached that point after game 2.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about Dame. Little deeper dive.
Okay.
What did you like about Dame tonight?
I like that Dame did not allow the last game to loom, and that he basically came out and made it a point to say, screw this, man, I'm Damian Lillard. Mm-hmm. And he had 10 points in the first quarter. To have that kind of showing to maybe give people some hope that, hey, maybe he can battle through this thing, and even with the injury, he's going to be okay. I still would like to see him take some games off, but I like that he at least came out with the mindset of, I'm not allowing what happened last game to dictate what I'm going to be this game. He kind of trailed off and got a little cold there after that first quarter, but it's
the first real flurry we've seen from him this year.
And I did think his last deep 3, he ended up, I think, front rimming it. Mm-hmm. I thought he shot that more for the crowd. Hey,
I still got this.
I can get it from here, but he didn't shoot it. This doesn't sound so stupid. It didn't feel like he shot it to make it. It felt like he shot it I can still do this.
Yeah.
I'm still that dude. And
because he hasn't shown it. He has not shown it this season. And everybody's like, you still think he's injured? Number one, yes.
Yes, I do.
Number two, that is the first real explosive play we've seen from him on any level this season. He's tried to dunk twice, and guess what, folks? He took an offensive foul on one because he was never getting there, and number two, he got rim checked.
Rim checked, yeah.
That's not the Damian Lillard I know.
Did you feel like anything that he did possibly have coming into tonight physically, he exerted in the first quarter, and after that, it looked like it was a bit of a struggle for him?
That's exactly what I thought. I thought he had the first probably 16 minutes of action for him.
Yeah.
I was like, that looks a little bit more like old Dame. And then it was like he went in the locker room, maybe got stiff or tore it all wore off.
If you told me they shot him up with it, I wouldn't be stunned.
I'm not at all. Not in the least bit. I mean, guys get those shots all the time. Especially
they put it in a biofreeze can and make it look like, hey, I need the endorsement.
Listen, man, you had a guy get his lung punctured in the NFL last year who was playing with a broken rib, and it was going to be a weekly thing. These guys get that stuff all the time. But overall, I really liked Dame's mentality tonight. His attack mode. he definitely had an FU for Russell Westbrook, which was fantastic. I loved that. But overall, his mentality coming off the news of last night, the Lakers are in town. There's always that.
See, can I just let me interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, go.
You keep citing the news. To me, if my takeaway is, I think it's more the performance for his fuel than it is the news. Like, of the two things yesterday that happened, the news is huge, and
I think it's a combination of both things. Like he played, he had his worst game of his like adult career, what's called
of his prime.
Yeah,
a prime game. That's the worst prime game we've ever seen. I think it's more that than it is the general manager. Because look, coaches and general managers, they're going to come and go in this league.
True.
And I think he understands that at this point. It sucks. It's a distraction.
That's what I'm looking at it more as, was like, it's like, are you kidding me? Here's another stupid thing we have to go deal with that I don't have any control over.
That's fair, yeah.
And so it was like, all right, let's go out. Okay. Let's rally the troops, go out and play the game that we need to play. I have a reeling suspicion that they kind of knew that this Laker team was coming in wounded.
Yeah.
So, hey, locker room speeches, hey, bleep them is about us. We go out there, we handle business, we come out, punch them in the mouth, make them so they don't want to play, and then actually doing that. And I think Dame leading that charge was a good sign. It was kind of a big thing of like, hey, even if I'm not right, I'm still going to show you I'm good, I'm right, I'll figure this out. That was
right.
More than any X's and O's or anything. That was my big takeaway from the game. So we do get 2 days off. Thank you, God. With that in mind, it just feels like every game has been coming every other day for the last 2 weeks.
Dude, my wife is like, "Oh, you're doing another podcast?" I'm like, "Yep." They feel like they play every day now.
Welcome to covering the NBA on a nightly basis.
It's turning into Major League Baseball at this point.
It's a lot. But with that in mind, tomorrow, even though there won't be any basketball, Brandon and I will be doing the mailbag pod. So if you guys have questions, get them in now at Jacked Ramsays on Twitter, at Danny Marang, at Brandon Sprague, jackedramsays@gmail.com. We'll probably do it sometime in the afternoon. So get them in now. Don't wait till the last second, because then I got to re-scramble and add.
Yes.
So if you got questions, get them in now. I'll put the tweet up when I get done with the show here. You guys can go there. Again, if you're not on Twitter, jackedramsays@gmail.com. What you got, Brandon?
I just want to add to that, like, any and all questions are always welcome for the mailbag pod.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a question regarding the Neil stuff and we don't shout your name out, just take that more as there was at least 7 to 8 of those same questions.
We've already gotten a ton of those already.
Right. So whether we shout out you or somebody else, like, just take that as like, we saw the question. I promise you, we
see every question. I don't ever toss any aside. It ends up happening if somebody asks the same basic thing, it gets looped in with that. Or if it's a trade thing, I may sit on it for a little while because there's just more pressing stuff on top of that. So thank you all so very much. Blazers obviously get another win, put a little bit of a streak together. Let you look at that. It wasn't, again, not a pretty streak, but you don't care. You take the wins however you can get them. They have the Los Angeles Clippers again on Tuesday for the third time in 3 weeks.
That's it. I think that's it. That's it. I think they only got 3. Yeah.
So if the Blazers want to do themselves a solid right now, go ahead and get a win against the Clippers so that you can win that season series, just in case it gets a little stupid at the end of the season, which I have a reeling suspicion the Western Conference is gonna. But otherwise, thank you all so very much. If you're watching here live, please scroll over and click subscribe if you haven't already. Again, the podcast is growing. We're getting towards our goal of 2,000 by Thanksgiving, which is
3 weeks away?
3 days, 22 days away. 4
weeks. Jeez.
It's coming up quick, man. So if you can, please subscribe. Share us with your friends. Share us with your family. Share us with your most hated enemies. They may like the Blazers too. Be like Lamar Hurd. Be like Neil Everett. Be an endorser of the Jacked Ramsays podcast.
Hey, shout out to both of them. Really good guys. Thank you tonight, Lamar.
Wonderful human beings. Lamar did not have to do that, and thank you. For anybody who has a question, it's not because Lamar shouted us out. Lamar is genuinely one of the kindest human beings on the face of the planet, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So again, get your questions in. Until then, we will be back for Tuesday. We'll have the mailbag pod in between, and I'm going to finally dive into the first 10 games and pull up some trends, particularly as it focuses on Ant and Nas and how they've integrated, and then kind of work our way from there. So I'll have that dropping here in the next couple days. For Brandon, I'm Danny. We'll catch you guys on the mailbag pod, and then Tuesday for the Clippers game. Take care, guys.